If an HVAC lead sits for 20 or 30 minutes, the problem isn't always lead generation. Sometimes the problem is what happens after the lead comes in. So today I want to explain you 7 concrete ways an HVAC company can improve speed to lead using AI. Yes, that's more important. This is actually very simple. You need to know where the lead came from. You need a clear response process, and you need to measure whether the lead replied and booked. Let's break it down. The first, hey, this is Jill here. Over the last few years, we have talked to a lot of field service owners, operators, and field camp users, and we are building field camp with them, an AI first operating system for field service businesses. Honestly, I'm learning a lot as we build it. So, in these videos, I'm going to share what we are hearing from real operators, what's actually working, what isn't, and a few practical things you can use in your own business. Alright, way is to track the real lead source. Now, this is the most important part because everything starts from here. If you don't have the attribution right, then everything downstream is just going to be messed up. An HVAC company may get leads from Google Business Profile, Google Local Services, ads, Google Search Ads, the company website, Meta Forms, Enjoy, Thumbstack, Yelp, referrals, repeat customers, or maintenance members. Those are lead sources. A webhook, API, Zapier, or Make is not the source. This is just how the information moves into your system. This is the difference which matters. If somebody finds you through Google but enters your system as a generic website lead, later you won't know that Google produced this opportunity. So every HVAC lead should keep the original source, the time it arrived, the customer's contact information, and what they asked for. If campaign information is available, keep that too because that is super important. And before you automate the response, test each real source. Submit a lead, make sure it appears once, make sure the source and arrival time are correct. If the first step is wrong, the reporting at the end will be also wrong. The second way is to bring every lead into one place. This is another very common problem because Google leads go into one inbox, website forms go somewhere else, marketplace leads create another notification, referrals may go directly to your owner's phone. Now the office is checking 4 or 5 places just to understand what needs a response. This is how leads get missed. So you need one lead management queue where the team can see the source, arrival time, customer request, current status, and the next action. This is one place where FieldCamp can be useful. Each new inquiry can become one request while keeping the original source and message attached into a unified inbox. The important part isn't the software name. The important part is that your team has one record to work from and the source doesn't disappear. The third way is to make the first outbound call quickly. For a high intent HVAC lead, I would usually make the phone call the first follow up. Somebody asking for an AC repair, furnace repair, or replacement estimate is not casually browsing, they are looking for help ASAP. So define your response target. Maybe your goal is to make the first attempt within 2 minutes, maybe it is 5 minutes, or the exact number depends on your operation, but it should be clear rule, not whenever somebody notices the email or whenever somebody logs into the software. Now this is the place where AI can be useful. AI can help start the call and they can do the outbound calling as soon as lead comes into picture. Now FieldCamp's voice platform is meant to do exact same thing. When a request comes in from any of these places, an outbound call is made just to let them know that hey, we have got your lead, and they can this AI voice agent can do the initial qualification as well. Now the opening should be very natural. This is not Star Heating and Air. You contacted us about your air conditioner. Is now a good time for two quick questions? That is enough. You don't need to have a long conversation. Say who you are, say why are you calling, and then ask permission to continue. If you are building this into FieldCamp, a new request can start a workflow using the configured voice agent. But the workflow still needs the company's correct consent rules, calling hours, caller ID, opt-out handling, and human handoff. The goal is to respond faster without making the experience feel pushy. The fourth way is to send a useful two-way text messaging. Now, what do I mean by that? Most text messaging, if you see in the softwares, it just says like, hey, we have got your request, we will contact you ASAP. Now, this is the second follow-up if the customer does not answer the call. But most automated text are just too random. What we want is we want to use the AI in the right way. What I mean by that, is now AI is capable enough to have two-way conversation just like it is doing on the phone, on the text message itself, and do the qualification. So this might be a better idea. That as soon as you get a lead from somewhere, you shoot them a text message and it can say something like, for example, hi, this is not heating and star. For example, I saw a request about AC not cooling. Is the system still running or has it stopped completely? Now the customer has an easy reason to reply. This is where AI becomes useful. The agent can read the request, understand the problem, and ask the next relevant question instead of sending the same generic message to everyone. The reply should also return to the same conversation the office can see. In FieldCamp, the configured SMS AI agent can continue from the request context in the unified inbox, and you as a human can jump at any point that you want. The fifth way is to create a third follow up that knows when to stop. So now that we have a very simple sequence, first you are trying to make an outbound call. If that doesn't work, you are sending a text message. Third, follow up again later if the customer is still quiet. You don't need 10 messages. The third follow up can be simple check in that gives the customer one clear next step. But the stop conditions are more important than the message itself. The sequence should stop when the customer replies, books, opts out, reaches a final lead stage, or when somebody from the office takes over. It should also respect the quiet hours configured by the business. The AI agent should not keep texting after an appointment is booked, and it should not take over your CSR after a person has joined the conversation. Good follow up is not about sending more messages, it is about following up consistently without becoming annoying. The sixth way is to turn the response into a real next step. Getting a reply is good, but if you want the lead to convert the fastest way, it is about the outcome. It is not just like, hey, we got a reply, and reply is not an outcome. The conversation should help qualify the request, route it correctly, and move it toward an appointment or a human callback. For a HVAC lead, you normally need only the information that changes the next action. What is the service address? What problem is the customer having? And is system still running or is there a safety concern? And what time works for them? If you have this much, then you have already won the lead, and send the person as soon as possible. Ask one question at a time and don't ask the information the customer already gave to you. This is the difference between good AI and mediocre AI. Mediocre AI will keep asking the same questions because it operates in a structured way, but best AI or the good AI can understand anything, and it is just logging in all the information. So if customer mentions gas smell, smoke sparkling, carbon monoxide, or other safety issue, routine booking should stop, and company's approval, safety, and human escalation process should take over. And this is what a good AI is capable of doing. If normal service requests and real availability can be checked, the customer can be offered an actual appointment time by the AI itself. The appointment should be called, confirmed only after the customer accepts it. If availability cannot be confirmed, create a callback for the office. Don't invent a time. The seventh way is to measure the complete result. Most HVAC companies know how many leads they bought, but that doesn't tell you whether the lead response process is working. I would start with four very simple questions. How many leads came from each source? How long did it take for the first response take? How many customers replied? And how many booked? Now you can compare Google, your website, Meta, Enjoy, Thumbstack, Yelp, referrals, and other sources using the same numbers. Maybe one source sends fewer leads but produces more appointments. Maybe another source sends a lot of leads but nobody responds quickly enough. This is something you can actually improve on. If your lead and response data are stored in FieldCamp, you can also connect it to Claude through MCP connector and ask a question like, show me the residential HVAC leads by source this month, and include response time, reply rate, and booking rate. That can make the report easier to understand, but AI cannot repair the information that was never captured. So if the lead, source, and response time is missing, the report will be also incomplete. So those are the 7 concrete ways to improve HVAC speed to lead. Track the real source, bring every lead into one place, make the outbound call quickly, send a useful two-way text messaging, create the third follow-up that knows when to stop, turn conversation into a real next step, and then measure which sources, messages, and response times actually produce appointments. Start with your last 20 HVAC leads, look at where each lead came from, how long the first response took, and whether customer replied or they just booked. That will exactly show you what the speed to lead process looks like.